How's it going, Retro people? My name is Brad, this is Retro Style Spotlight, and this is your news, notes, history, and retro games to play for the week of August 16th, 2016. Last week's tutorial was all about how to back up your LaunchBox install. It also doubles as how to back up parts or all of your PC in case of a catastrophe. Some of the methods were just that, for an emergency, but others were longer lasting and more concrete. This tutorial hit close to home for me as well, as a hard drive failure of my own created the need for me to create this tutorial. The tutorial is jam-packed full of information and a few different methods on how to back things up. These are just my personal methods that I came to a conclusion on. But there are other ways, methods, or software that you can utilize that do nearly the same or exactly the same thing that I show off. So if you have a personal method, let us know in the comment section below on how you choose to back your computer up. Time for some spectacular emulation news. Mednafen has done it again, and considering their track record, I'm extremely excited for this. The Sega Saturn. This console has a tumultuous story as a real console, let alone in terms of emulation. The console was stupid hard to code for, it was very unique, had the misfortune of being released to the public when no one knew it existed, it was actually released the same day it was announced, and was forcing 3D when Sega had no clue what they were doing with it. The games that were released for it, however, are still amazing. It's still somehow awesome to see early 3D games on the system and how stunning some of the 2D games could look and what it could pull off in a dimension that had been explored for over 20 years at that point. It's really great to see the precursor to the Sega Dreamcast. Emulation for this system, though, has proven to be extremely tricky, like the PS1 and N64, ironically its biggest competition, but still worse off. In part, I believe the nostalgia of the PS1 and the N64 are almost the sole reason why they had progressed so heavily in the first place, eventually needing overhauls to get anywhere meaningful as of late. For now, this version of the emulator is unstable, requiring a rather beefy PC to get running, and a lot of games don't function properly, like almost every PAL game, but this is extremely promising. Mednafen also fits right in with RetroArch, so it's probably a safe bet that we'll see its inclusion there as well. Once the emulator progresses a bit farther, I will also be covering it for my tutorial series, but for the time being, it's a bit too early to provide anything meaningful. Either way, the Saturn emulation world needs this revitalization. The DRM finally being blown wide open on the Saturn, that I covered weeks ago, could even potentially have something to do with this massive update. The systems on the list ready for a good overhaul now seem to be the Atari Jaguar, the Dreamcast, though progression is happening slowly there, and the original Xbox. There are certainly more on the list, like proper emulation for Windows 95 and 98 era games, and the N-Gage, but we should probably pick our battles carefully. So, we've heard of game delays. No Man's Sky, Zelda Breath of the Wild, and others spring to mind when you say the phrase video game delays. What if I said there was another game delayed for 15 years? Even Duke Nukem Forever was only about 10. However, there is an awesome looking RPG on the Game Boy Color finally getting its due justice release. The original developer behind this game, Affinix Software, has come out and said, "It's time, baby." Called Infinity, this looks to be an extremely impressive Game Boy Color RPG. When they were developing this game, it looks like they had issues striking a deal with the publisher to get their game printed and to be released. Out of nowhere, though, for a game I'm pretty sure no one remembered, on a system that has been relegated to nostalgia in the minds of users like myself, Affinix Software is releasing their game, but not on cartridge. I wouldn't be surprised if they could make a deal with some of the boutique publishing houses to create a super limited physical form, either in a Game Boy Color cart or on a newer system. The game will be seeing a download release, but there is no telling on what. It remains to be seen if it will essentially be the Infinity ROM for the Game Boy Color released to the public that you can play on an emulator, or if it was ported to a different codebase so that you could play it on something like a 3DS, a Wii U, PS4, or even through Steam. A date hasn't been set yet either, but wow. Just wow. After the hardships they endured, 15 years later, their game is finally getting its release it deserves. Duke Nukem Forever changed engines, systems, teams, and decades to get its release, so I'll be eagerly awaiting the game this team has been wanting to release for the last 15 years. It was a long haul, but this game looks beautiful and amazing, and I cannot wait to play it as an RPG enthusiast. This month in 2000, Chrono Cross was released to the North American market for the PlayStation. Chrono Cross is a console JRPG developed and published by Square, now Square Enix, for the Sony PlayStation. It is the sequel to Chrono Trigger for the SNES. Unlike its predecessors, Dream Team, Chrono Cross was developed primarily by scenarist and director Masato Kato and other programmers from Chrono Trigger, including art director Yasuyuki Hona and the sound planner Minoru Akao. Composer Yasunori Mitsuda scored Chrono Cross, and Nobuteru Yuki designed its characters. The story of Chrono Cross focuses on a teenage boy named Serge and a theme of parallel worlds. Faced with an alternate reality in which he died as a child, Serge endeavors to discover the truth of the two worlds' divergence. The flashy thief kid and up to 43 other characters assist him in his travels around the tropical archipelago El Nido. Struggling to uncover his past and find the mysterious frozen flame, Serge is chiefly challenged by Lynx, a shadowy antagonist working to apprehend him. Upon its release in Japan in 1999 and in North America in 2000, Chrono Cross received high ratings and critical acclaim, earning a rare perfect 10.0 score from GameSpot. Critics praised the game's complex plot, innovative battle system, varied characters, moving score, vibrant graphics, and success in breaking convention with its predecessor. It shipped 850,000 and 650,000 units in Japan and abroad respectively, led to a Greatest Hits re-release, and continued life in Japan as part of the Ultimate Hits series. A Millennium Edition featuring a calendar, clock, and music sampler was also released. Chrono Cross, like Trigger until its recent DS port, was never released in PAL territories. In 2001, Hironobu Sakaguchi revealed that the company staff wanted to develop a new game and were discussing script ideas. Though Kato was interested in a new title, the project had not been greenlit. Square then registered a trademark for Chrono Break, spelt differently in Japan, for the United States, causing speculation concerning a new sequel. Nothing materialized, and the trademark was dropped in the US on November 13, 2003, though it still stands in Japan. Hope continues for a new game as Kato returned to work on Dawn of Mana and Children of Mana. Mitsuda also expressed interest in scoring a new Chrono series game, however there was no planned continuation of the Chrono series at this time. So that was RetroStyle Spotlight for the week of August 16th, 2016. All of the relevant links to everything you heard in this edition of RSS will be in the description below. Remember, you can sign up for a LaunchBox forum account to talk with us over there. If LaunchBox has given you a beautiful library of games, then why not purchase a premium license of LaunchBox for $20 to access Big Box, which is a controller and couch-oriented version of LaunchBox. We also have our LaunchBox games database now available for users to contribute to. If you have a few favorite games that are lacking in metadata or media, head on over to the games page on the database and make your desired edits or add your games yourself. Jason, Kirsten, and I have a lot planned for our community, so if you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, we're doing a tutorial video every Friday, live developer sessions, LaunchBox news, Q&As, and a ton more content in the future. Let us know what you think of RSS and any feedback you may have on it. My name is Brad, the link to my channel is below, and remember, Freaks and Geeks, to play more games, and we'll see you next time. Have a good day!